How are you doing today?
Doing good, man. How
You're
are
doing
you?
good? I'm great,
Yeah.
man. It's another episode. It's another week. It's another season.
Mm.
And it's a special episode. Is it our most busted episode yet?
It's about to be.
It's about to be,
About
right?
to be.
Why? Because with us,
Because we got the creators of Busted Cribs, a home renovation show where you take rundown houses and fix them up to make them a home. So,
Please
I'm
welcome-
super excited.
Justin and Stephanie Jones. Say hello.
Hello.
Good morning, guys. Good morning.
Good to have you guys.
Busted. We are 9 out of
Busted.
10 times busted ourselves.
Yes, we are. I went and got a haircut. She curled her hair. So today
Looking
we're
good.
not
Looking
as
good.
busted. Thank
Yeah,
you.
we're happy
Thanks,
to be here.
Colin.
Thanks for
Check
having
out the
us.
clips. You might see some of that. We'll see. But yeah, oh man, I'm so excited to get into this and talk with you guys about it. And so, just want to hear. Maybe we start out by just hearing a little bit of your story. Where did you guys start? How did you get to where you are today? Tell us the busted crib tale.
You want to tell it?
You tell it better than I tell it. So
Yeah, but you're short and concise. You should just.
I'm
we
really,
got
really
plenty of
short.
time. We
Like
got
if you
time.
want
If
a
you want
Reader's
the
Digest
full
version,
detail.
that's me.
We'll do a director's cut link here to the full story. Yeah.
I'll let Stephanie handle that one. Mine will be just short and sweet, but there's a lot of nuggets in the story, from our marriage to business to her leaving her executive job. There's a lot in there. I'll let her. I softballed that up for you.
Come
I
on.
know.
That was a tee
Okay.
up. Come on. For the
So
home run.
how did we become Busted Cribs?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, there is a long story. Justin and I got married. We both were married previously, and we had busted lives. God totally restored and renovated us, which was amazing. And so we came into a marriage both whole people instead of two broken half people. Praise God. And I was working at a television network at the time, Ion Television. I'll just say it because I was there. I don't know what you would call it. I was the head designer, but they would send me out to talent shoots. So I'd go to New York and Toronto, which is so funny because I don't really know anything about the technical side of it. I'm just the creative side. So they were having me lead these, multi-million-dollar shoots. And it was total imposter syndrome, but I loved it. And for the longest time before I was set free, I didn't love my job. It was like very taxing for me. It was really, I was like always like, oh, I just want to leave and find another job. But when I got restored and when I got set free, I was always a Christian, but when I was set free, the Lord just really gave me a love and passion for things in general. And my job became one of those things where it was like a mission field, and it was really beautiful, and I really enjoyed working there. And so fast forward, Justin and I get married, and about probably 4 months into our marriage, he says, I need you to leave your job. And I was like, what? What, Lord? I don't want to do that. I finally love it. It's really awesome. He's like, I'm taking you into a new thing. And so just being faithful in that, I left my job, and he was kind of like, what are you doing? Right? You were not okay with it. You're
Let's
like, is
get
she a gold
married,
digger?
And
Yeah, let's reenact.
she
Can
had
we
the-
reenact that? Let's reenact that real quick. Let's cue the music and go.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Kick it, Jamie Foxx. Yeah. No, she came to me and she's like, listen, I think the Lord's telling me, like, leave my job. Like, there's something that's, coming. There's something that's more for us. And I'm like, okay, like, your executive level salary, like, it was a good salary. Like, it was a sweet gig. Like, I got to go to some of the events, and I'm like, this is awesome. And as an entrepreneur, you don't get to go to all those executive type things that corporations,
Yeah.
big multi-million, if not billion-dollar corporations get to put on. So I'm showing up my blue collar self, and I'm like, man, this is awesome. We got some steak instead of, hamburgers. And I was like, don't leave this job. This is a good gig. So
Yeah. And so I left, and it was really hard. I stayed on for 2 months just to help them transition. And again, I was kind of holding on for dear life because I loved it. But I wanted to be obedient and faithful. And that's pretty much been our whole guide, is just listening to the Holy Spirit and just allowing him to lead us and just really relying on his voice, because otherwise we could end up in so many different places. So once I quit, I found out I was pregnant like a month later. And then
Which is always the best timing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
exactly when you want to find that out.
And Justin owned a construction company, so I would just kind of ride along with him because I'm now don't have a job, and I was like, this is weird. I don't love this. I'm not that type of person that enjoys not working, and so I would ride along with him, and just found that I was really good at the design side of things. And so when he would meet with clients, I would really help them walk through things and give them ideas. And he's like, you know what? Let's do a flip. that'd be really fun if we did a flip. We have some extra cash and let's put it into a flip. And so we did our first flip when I was super pregnant with my first son. And I remember I have a picture and I'm like really pregnant and I have a hammer in my hand and I was building a banquette bench seat or something for this like little kitchen nook. And I just remember telling him, I'm like, I really feel like this is where we need to be. Like this, us together doing this, restoring homes just like God restored us is just such a beautiful testimony of our lives. And so lo and behold, we'd start doing it more regularly. And then, we just randomly started filming it. I don't remember why even. I think we just were like, hey, I want to document this cool thing that we're doing. And our kids were growing up. Like I now then had a newborn and I got pregnant right after, 2 months after I had my son. I was pregnant again. So, we're now going into what now is 4 kids. And so we started doing it. We're like, let's film it. It'd be really fun to document it because they were coming along with
Now,
us.
tell us about that. So, did you flip a phone open? Did you bring a whole production crew from your production years?
I
That's
can
a
go into that.
great-
Yes,
Yeah.
I can go into that. So for me, I would flip up a cell phone and good to go. And she's like, no, the audio. No, the video, the angle, the light. And I'm like sitting there going, just shoot this thing. Let's go. Let's roll. Let's do
Yeah.
this. Let's get to the next
And
client.
we're not coordinated enough to do that. I mean, just because I'm from
Absolutely
that
not.
background, I
Absolutely.
mean, I wouldn't even know how to do that. I mean, I'd have to like really figure it out. Yeah.
So backtracking just a little bit. So she's pregnant the first time. She's riding with me, like she said. She's not working for the company anymore, and there's the emotions that go into having a pregnant wife too. So we're riding along, and
Well,
she
tell
might
us more. That could be a whole nother episode.
she
actually.
might
Go
be like.
deep into
Yeah.
detail on that.
No.
What do
We
you
won't do
mean?
that today. No.
So we're rolling up to client's house, and she's like, with all the beautiful emotions that come along with pregnancy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is. So it was a challenge. But the coolest part, I will tell you, the coolest part was when we would roll, and we'd started to flip open a phone, and she would post something. Everybody's like, we want to see more of that. We want to see more of what you guys are doing. We want to see more of you guys interacting and stuff like that. So we were just kind of just kicking it around, and we grabbed a guy from church and said, hey, can you come just film this? Let's see what it looks like. And he came out there and he filmed one, and it happened to be like the day that he came out to start filming, there was a not a lice infestation. What was it? It was
A flea.
flea
That's our
infestation.
flea house.
So he's walking
flea
around
house.
filming,
And I'm sure
all-
you staged this, right? You put the fleas
Oh,
there
no.
for the
So
drama
that's
of the
nothing
reality
is
show.
staged.
It would be that would have cost a lot less if I would have hired somebody to bring the fleas
And then take them out.
leave with the fleas. No.
Mm.
So we're actually walking through filming, and there's fleas coming up our legs and
I
starting
mean,
to
it was
bite
thick,
us.
you guys. It was thick. It was like an inch thick of fleas. Just the ground was moving. It was so
I'm
gross.
itching now.
And I had my newborn with me in my arms, and I'm like, "Wah."
Yeah,
It
I'm staying
was.
outside. Yeah.
It was something else. So we started posting that content. People are like, man, that's awesome. This is really cool. And then going to what she said about let's start capturing more of this. Like I know how quickly kids grow up. I've watched I have 16 and a 14-year-old. I've watched how quickly. I was like, let's film this. From that perspective, more of like a documentary type.
Yeah.
Just watching the kids grow up, watching the process of the houses.
The time capsule, really, of the journey.
Yeah.
It is, and it was more of a passion project. There's not a lot of money, that goes into like we're not getting paid for this content. We're not influencer stars or anything like that. So we just put it out there, but our lives lived, naturally and in front of the camera is exactly the same.
Yeah.
So you have faith, you have the marriage aspect, you have the entertaining aspects of watching a married couple navigate through challenging projects that were happening every single day. Then we think totally different.
So different.
She's a creative, and I'm like, let's just get this done.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it, and it just made for creative TV.
Content,
That's totally organic. It's all natural. There's nothing that's staged.
We do not script anything. That was one thing that we told our producer. We're like, we do not want to script anything. And that was great because he loves working in that way too. So we would literally just show up on the day at the property, and we're like,
Let's go.
action.
I love
And then
that.
they edit a lot and do a lot of magic behind the scenes and in post.
Well, tell our listeners about the show. Busted Cribs. It's season 3 at the
We are on
moment.
season
correct?
3.
I've caught the first time I actually saw it was a thumbnail on the provider. I think PureFlix was the provider on season 1, and I got to see. I was like, wait a minute. I think it was kind of this cool catch
Yeah, yeah.
moment of like, nice. And then got to explore it on YouTube as well. Tell us why the name. Some it's obvious to some maybe not. And what exactly do you do? Break it down for the listener who hasn't seen. It's about to
Yeah,
check out the
good
episode.
question. You can answer that.
Yeah, Busted Cribs. When we were starting to try to figure out a name for this, I'm born in the 80s, she's born in the 80s. So coming into the 90s, what was popular? MTV Cribs.
I thought you, I thought you say Busta Rhymes. No, never mind.
No,
I-
no,
I-
no,
okay.
Yeah.
We're talking about Busta Rhymes,
Yeah, yeah.
Jamie Foxx. He got a little soul, Pastor.
Come on,
Sam.
come on.
Got a little
Similar
soul.
era,
Come
I
on.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So MTV Cribs was
MTV Cribs.
popular, and we were like, man, MTV Cribs, but man, these are busted, and it just kind of flowed.
It was
Busted
late at
Cribs.
night, yeah, because we had gone over. We were trying to like really come up with some meaningful names that really show what we. Because we're not just flippers. We're not your average flippers.
What are some of the names that didn't make it into the list? I'm curious.
Oh man, joined at the flip. We really loved that one. But then
okay.
when we looked it up, like HGTV had already owned it, and so we actually started promoting that because we had no idea
We
that it was
started
owned.
out at that, yeah.
And they're not
Gotcha.
using it currently, but that was owned by HGTV, so we had to change it. And we just were sitting there one night and we're like, it's like, hey, welcome to my crib. Come on in, it's busted. And he's like, oh, let's do Busted Cribs.
Boom.
And that was
So
it.
yeah.
So there were some more names on there. Like we had a bunch. We were kicking them around to other business owners, family members, and finally we landed on Busted Cribs. And we're like, man, that just sounds good. So what we do is we go in and we're real estate investors. So we'll buy properties. We'll go in, assess them. Stephanie designs them. I'll go through my construction background, figure out what needs to be done to it, pull the permits, renovate them,
Yeah.
put them on the market, sell them, and then move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Now, you said you're not the average flipper.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, the whole purpose behind what we do is like immediately when I walk into a property, I don't see it for what it is. I see it for what it can be. And I've always had that gift of being able to see the end result in people and in properties and furniture. I used to flip furniture too. And jewelry, I would remake jewelry and stuff like that. So I always can see.
Like flip furniture. Let's get that clear because my kids flip furniture at the house.
Oh, yeah, mine
Yeah.
do too.
But
Not that type.
not that type. Okay,
no.
cool. Okay, just
Yeah,
making sure.
ours flip
H
that
is like, can I
furniture.
make money off this?
Yeah. It's like, are they wrestling mania?
Wait a minute.
Yeah, because they're
Is there a
flipping.
business there?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I would take, see something on the side of the road, a piece of furniture, and I would paint it or renovate it and sell it for a profit. And it was fun for me. And it was, never anything like profitable, super profitable. But I just have always been able to see something not for what it is, but what it can be. Just like kind of how God is for us. Like he sees us for who he's created us to be, not all the junk, right? Not all the clutter, all the hoarding, because we've walked into some crazy busted houses. And people always ask me like, I could never have envisioned it looking like this in the end. And I was like, I guess I can just look at it through like God's eyes, like how he looks at us. And so I just have this really beautiful relationship in that way. So to me, flipping is like a dirty word. It's just a business where this is like a transformative ministry, I guess. And so I guess that's kind of where the show even makes sense for us. I wouldn't keep doing it if there wasn't that heart behind it, because to me it was never about fame or getting our name out there or being any kind of anything other than just giving God the glory for what he's done in us and what he can do in these properties and just showing that tangibly. Because when people see these houses, they look neglected. They look like they don't belong. They look like they're trash, right? I mean, we've seen some crazy houses. And just being able to take that and make it into something that's beautiful and worthy and desired for a new homeowner is just a really beautiful, faith in action, or like but you can see it tangibly,
Yeah.
right?
You
He's like, we
hit
just make
that.
money. No,
You hit that out of the park. Yeah, no, it's not about there's more purpose than profit.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell everybody. There's more purpose in what we do and than money aspect of
Yeah.
it. There's obviously a lot of money in real estate. So the profits come along with that. And obviously when we're out there shooting from start to finish, everybody always wants to know, well, what'd you put into that property? What'd you make on that property? What's that?
Yeah.
Everybody always wants to know the numbers. And it's like, okay, so we share some of the numbers and then some of the numbers we decide not to share.
yeah,
Yeah, that's an intersection that's important because sometimes we don't talk about it, right? So people don't know, so that there's assumptions made. I love it that it's the cause, it's a purpose, it's a lifestyle that's just an overflow for you guys. So this is not something you manufactured
No.
for the profit. The profit's important though, because I
Yeah.
think you got right. You got kids to feed, you got a legacy to, you know, to move and continue
Yeah.
that purpose and that cause. So the business model, because talk to us about a little bit about that. You know, some of it's standard, whether it's the flipping or remodeling, the renovations, some with the actual show and the strategy there, whether it's traditional or modern marketing, television, media. Give us a little insight on how that's played
Yeah.
out and how it's going.
Well, so to go back a little bit, the more money we make on the property, the more we can give. And that's like really when we get excited is if we make more money, then we're like, oh, we can give more. And I know it's such a weird backwards way of thinking, but that's just our heart in it. And we don't really share this with a lot of people. And even doing the podcast, we're like, oh my gosh, we don't want to share that side of it, like our giving, because we don't want, we don't want to
Totally.
boast and brag. But to us, it's really exciting. The more money we make, the more we can give to nonprofits, and so that's a big thing for us with the nonprofit side of it. Is
And by the way, we've met we've met and seen you guys in action, giving back and being the generous couple you are through the show and through your life. So I know you're not asking for that. I know,
Yeah.
but so that's how we've interacted. That's how we've gotten to connect in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
So I've seen that, and you don't have to, like I said, but and
so we're not good at hiding it, babe.
No. And I think it's even more than it's just more in your presence and you
I think it just comes through.
yeah, it does.
It's our life, and that's the thing. It's not contrived. It's not like us trying to be something. It's just we recognize that our money is not ours; it's God's, and so we just operate in that way in every facet. So when we say we make a lot of money, and we do make a lot of money on the flips, but it's exciting to us when we make a lot of money that we can then give more.
I want to continue the cause. A lot of times there are good ideas, folks with good heart. If the business model doesn't match and there's not a sustainability factor,
Right.
then the mission's over
Yeah.
and then nobody wins, right? So there's a tension there that I think it's important to.
Yeah,
to-
and then you can talk more about the business model. You're the business guy. I'm just
Yeah,
make
so
things
the
pretty.
business model side of things, what's really interesting is prior to us getting married, I owned a company, Heavenly Foundations, for 12 years prior to us getting married. So I had marketed, I had a name, I'd been around, it was profitable. There was 13 to 17 employees. So the marketing was pretty much already out there. People knew who I was, so there was no issues with that. When Stephanie came along and I started bringing her to these properties, it just elevated the process. Because a lot of times a contractor will go out there and he'll look at a project and he'll be like, okay, it's going to cost this amount of money to do it. And then the customer's like, okay, well, when do we get started? When do we go get tile? When do we go pick out kitchen? When do we go? And I'm like, I don't do that part.
He's like, you go on your own.
You want the pretty, you need to go get a designer. So
Yeah.
Stephanie comes along. She's like, oh, I'll go do that with you. And all of a sudden, this kind of natural progression of business is born from that side of things. So people already knew who I was in Pinellas County and in the surrounding areas. So when we came and started marketing for Busted Cribs, it was just another extension of who we were. And then we had a little bit of overlap in it to where some of these houses I'd come across are like, wow, this thing is pretty busted up. Well, real estate investors naturally don't want really, really busted houses.
Right.
They look for more of like a lipstick type, or can I get in? Can I get out? And
Lipstick
that's how
is
I
like
can-
where you just like put little minor changes, because a lot of people don't know that
okay.
term. But
Gotcha.
lipstick flipping is when you like just change out some cabinets or paint the walls. A little refresh. We end up
we end up basically
getting the fire sales.
You go deeper than
literally.
that. Yeah.
Oh man, the termite eaten to caught fire to, I mean, just the nastiest of nasties that you can think of. Those are the ones where we're like, yeah, we're gonna buy this one, and people look
We love
at
it.
Random question: have you ever gotten into a situation where it's it's faux demo here? We can't. Have you gotten into you have to tear the whole thing down? Almost basically.
Yeah, but sometimes we've bought them knowing that it needs to go
It was a
down.
risk.
We had
Yeah.
and I'll share this story. One over in St. Pete off of Taylor, and we shot a whole thing on it. It was new construction. We couldn't walk all the way around the property because it was just so overgrown. It was so nasty, and you couldn't walk kind of through the property because it was overgrown and
a jungle.
disgusting.
This house.
Yeah, so we ended up buying it. I don't remember for how much, 100,000 or something like that. Like we got a
It
good
was
deal
low.
on it.
Yeah.
And when we had the clearing company come in and start clearing around, we realized that there was a tree that had fallen on the house.
On the house.
We didn't know.
You can't make this up.
Yeah.
And there's a whole video on it, and we walk out and we're like, wow, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
This is an episode, season
It is.
1?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
it is.
What did we call that one? Oh,
Newbie on the block.
newbie on the block. Like, I don't know why it was like step
Newbie
by
on-
step. You know,
That's
just
funny.
Man, we're
Hey,
new house on the
getting
block.
all
You're
the good
90s kids,
secular-
90s kids.
because that was
that's
our
why-
first new construction home.
Gotcha.
And so it was like our newbie on the block, the new house on the block.
I would have called
So
it
you
tree
just-
house.
Yeah, it was
yeah.
crazy.
We have a tree house.
Oh, you have a tree-
Yeah,
nice.
we
Well, not
have a
only
tree house.
that, like,
Yeah.
because we were like, okay, we can rebuild that. But the window, remember when we were doing some demo,
Yeah.
underneath the windows outside, I mean, there was like
there was nothing there.
Termite poop was holding it up. There was
Yeah.
nothing.
You couldn't see this stuff because
Duct
it was so
tape,
overgrown around it. And I look at Stephanie and she's like, you know, like kind of like the tear in her eye because she wants to restore everything, whether
Yeah.
it's a puppy, a piece of furniture. Like she's just showing
Tell us
up
about
with stuff.
puppy restoration. How do you
Think of the bustedest puppy. She'll come home with
I'll
we
that.
used to have
Story.
one. We used to
Oh.
have one. There's, yeah.
From pit bulls to poodles. We got you, right? We got
Doesn't matter. So
Busted
this,
pups. Here we
yeah.
go.
Busted pup.
Listen, so we end up looking at each other and we're like, yeah, this thing's not going to make it. And it was only like 700 square feet, so it was more expensive to rebuild that and kind of tie
Yeah.
into than it would be to just level it.
Start new.
So we ended up hiring, demo company comes out there, 3.5 hours later, this whole house is scraped and it's gone. And I was like, man, we really need to think about doing some new construction too. And the market was starting to shift at that time where our houses are, pricing on houses is going through the roof. Well, when prices start going through the roof, it limits the amount of properties, obviously, you can buy because stuff is getting more expensive. So we happened to make a pivot into doing more new construction than renovation. And of course, she could care less about new construction. And I'm like, this is extremely profitable. This is great. It's simple. It's easy. I'm not having to worry about termites and all this. I can just come in. And so we've built, I think, 6 new ones or something like that to date. And I love it. But she's like, yeah, I'm not
I'm
interested.
still not super excited about it, but the Lord did give me this beautiful vision over it that sometimes you do have to go all the way to the foundation and build back up from scratch. And so once it made sense in my heart to do it, then I was behind it. But yeah, at first I was apprehensive. But you do make good profit on it. And unless we have to tear something down, we do not.
That's very true. And I'm working on one right now
nice.
that should have been torn down.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
And this one, and the guys are out there working and they're like, no bueno, jefe. No bueno, jefe.
Muy malo, muy malo.
For those of you that don't speak Spanish,
Yeah.
that is no good,
No
boss.
good.
No good. Scrape this one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, boys, like,
Make it
like,
happen.
yeah.
The boss
Yeah.
said we're not.
Esposa,
Yeah.
say bueno.
No, I mean, I'm fine with it if we needed to, but then we'd have to go all the way through the permits again because we waited so long for these permits. Let's be honest.
So
Because I would be fine with it.
She's the one.
Yeah.
Well, guys, tell us about this. We've got leaders in nonprofits in doing different types of, causes or serving different kinds of people. Your skill set / gifting / calling lends itself to flip the camera. The dynamics are there. It's kind of, there's sometimes that exists in organizations too, where like, you know what, if they just flip the camera here,
Yes.
they can capture the tensions, capture the beauty, sometimes the mess, sometimes the tensions. Speak to that. What
Yes.
changed when the cameras came on? What was some pros and cons, some challenges of, and I know you film tons and tons of hours and have to reduce that to a few minutes of an episode, and encourage, because I think we're encouraging some of the folks that, hey, document, archive this for the sake of legacy, time capsule, but also to promote your cause, your mission, your vision, especially if it's connected to eternal purposes like we talked about, right? If it's going to impact someone with the gospel and point them to Jesus, it's like, yeah, leverage all of it. Talk to us about that.
Yes, we're actually talking to one of our friends that owns a nonprofit, and because we don't just help out financially, we like to come alongside of nonprofits and help them with business and help them, just really gear up. And hey, maybe you didn't think of this before. Have you ever thought of X, Y, and Z? And we had told them that we're like, I mean, this is such a beautiful thing you're doing. You need to record this, and you need to get this out there because when people see it, they want to get behind your message. They want to get behind what you're doing because all the nonprofits are so good especially that we're a part of. And if we never saw it or we never, experienced it firsthand, you don't get behind it in the same way, I mean, I know for you too, it's like once you see it and you can really you see the heart, you see the people they're working with, you see the day to day, like the hard and the good. And, we were just talking to a missionary. They stayed with us a couple months ago. And we were like, you need to document your day to day life because we want to see the challenges you have. We want to see the things that you're doing. Like, it doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to be professional. You don't have to have a camera crew or production crew like we do, but just flip on your camera and show it. And he's gotten so many more.
He's crushing it.
Yeah.
They're based
So
out
many
of
more
Honduras.
donors.
They're based out of Honduras, so third world country aspect. They live on $1.50 a day down there.
Wow.
Flip open your iPhone or whatever that it might be and just capture these situations, capture anything and everything that you can, and then figure out where you're going from there. So he started building out his nonprofit and getting some land and getting some opportunities. When I came alongside him and partnered up with him on a lot of just the 10,000 view of just looking like what this needs to look like, he started going through and actually putting action behind it. And I said, do it this way or do it that way. Crushing it.
Yeah,
Absolutely
cool.
crushing it. Because the money that we would put in here, whether it be $100 or a couple $100, really isn't a whole lot. But down there, $100 to $200, that feeds
That's a
people
whole
for
lot.
3 months.
Goes a long way.
Yeah.
It goes a really, really long way. So now he's filming the houses that are being built, and and then I shot a whole video on it down in Honduras, and I don't know where that ended up, but it's about a 3-minute video just kind of going through that entire process. And it encouraged him to just keep this going.
Yeah.
And he's kept it going. Now he's adding in aquaponics, he's adding in solar, he's adding in
Awesome.
Wow.
a whole entire logging facility down there, because down there it's all raw wood.
Yeah.
There's not 2x4s and stuff like we have here. Down there it's like you get raw wood.
Yeah, their main
right off
ministry
a
is
tree.
building houses because people are living in the dump, like on trash, legitimately.
And then another example here. So we were just on a podcast, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. And the question that they asked was like, what are your thoughts? Like, why did you get behind and champion this mission? Because I could literally see what you guys were doing.
Yeah.
And they're in the exploitation and human trafficking and that
Just
type.
restoring women's lives. Yeah. In the jails.
And from my perspective, it was like, this makes sense and I can get behind it. To my wife, she's like, this is amazing and, all those. But for me, it's just like, this just makes sense. There's boots on the ground. They're going into Tampa. They're getting this done. I'm going to come alongside you and back you up on this one.
Well, for you, it was the stories. It's hearing these people's stories, the women, the survivors, the ones that were in the jail and were reached by their ministry that really made you finally get behind it, And I think that's why it's so important for nonprofits or anybody in ministry or that's doing the work, right? This
Absolutely.
amazing work for the community and for their area. Like, they need to show it. Because people, you can kind of write it as much as you want. You can talk about it as much as you want. You can try and fundraise as much as you want. But till you see it and you hear the stories and you see like the good that's being done and the challenges so that, hey, there's a need here. I need to fill it. And being like hyper focused on the need. Like we were telling the missionary, we're like, you need to do a video about, hey, $100 will do this. $5 will do this. 10, like just show these really be very authentic, be
Practical.
very
Connect the dots,
raw.
right?
Yeah, because people want to know, I can do that. That's easy.
I
If
love
I
it.
just cut out coffee once a week, I can donate, I can give. It's like practical.
I'm not cutting out coffee.
There's some sacrifices that are just too. No, before you go, Colin, one thing, just a good reminder on this, on the vision casting, on the story branding that we do. One is now you guys with Busted Cribs have had offers, have gotten distribution, exposure, and multiple seasons. It didn't start that way. It's not like somebody showed up with a multi-million-dollar contract. Would you like to, sign your souls away? No, it didn't start that way, and you guys haven't signed your souls away. Don't do it.
We never will.
But it's just important for brands, for nonprofits, organizations. You can start where you are. There are multiple platforms out there for you to use free.
Yeah.
Of charge. And it just takes some intentionality, some creativity, and capture the essence of what you're doing. And that's vision casting. That's getting the mission statement, the purpose, the cause, the call to action. How do they join? How do they participate? Where do they sign up?
Yes.
As simple as that. Leverage the storytelling and the powerful medium, video, photography, sometimes good writing, right? Just all the creative elements coming together and helping,
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Well, so let's get maybe a little more practical. What are some of like the insights you guys have, that you guys have now after years of doing this, to help a nonprofit who's saying like, I hear what you're saying. How do I do that? Like, what are some insights of creating a compelling story that people want to listen to and want to see? Like, what have you guys found in that? Because you're taking houses, inanimate objects
Yeah.
that, but you're creating these really compelling and beautiful stories out of them. Give us a little more insight there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll touch on that one. When we do, I'll give example. Jeff Ford, Man Up and Go, fantastic guy, fantastic man of God. And when we looked at his organization and started coming alongside him, whether it be through CBMC or whatever that it ended up, however we ended up just kind of connecting all those dots, he would do these things at like sports bars and all these different kinds of things,
Fundraisers?
fundraisers and trying to raise capital. Thank you for putting a name to that. I was like, oh, what is this?
There's these things,
I do. I'm
Grabbing
normally the one that
hands
does
and
that, and he
giving
has
money.
to do it. So I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like round and you bounce
She
it. He's like, a
jumped. She
basketball? I was
jumped.
like, yeah,
She
that.
jumped on that one right away. For him, I was like, hey, like we do these inspections through the business, and let me just give you the inspection fees. Let me come in and, come alongside you and champion. And then we started doing that amongst the company, and it kind of caught on, and it caught on with some other companies. And he's really kind of taken that and grown through, Florida legislature and stuff like that. He's doing amazing things. But that was just one small example that a for-profit company can come through and do. And then when it comes to answering your question, like storytelling, storytelling is extremely important. And I don't read. Like, I'm not a reader. They always say leaders are readers and readers are. I'm like, give me a video and just let me watch that, and I'll go ahead and replicate it or whatever needs to be done. So I'm watching the video and I might read the closed captions. That's about all the reading that I'm doing.
I turn that off, man. I turn that off.
Yeah, it's distracting.
even-
Give me the story.
more, but-
Give me the visuals.
Storytelling's amazing. So when Jeff really started sharing that story, and he does great video content through emails, and he has multiple people that are up there, multiple businesses, and these aren't nonprofits. These are for-profit companies that are coming alongside him and champion with him. And I think nonprofits have a great stage. If their storytelling's good, it's compelling, and they can get other businesses to champion beside them. It makes little work for many, many people.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer in that. I know he has Ignite Chiropractic, Raul Serrano, and he has a couple other guys, amongst his board that will come alongside and champion that. And I think it's really, really important. But I think other nonprofits can really take advantage of, hey, get these businesses that want to come alongside. Because I think deep down inside, a lot of for-profit companies want to do something.
Yeah.
But the excuse comes in, well, I don't have the time.
Yeah.
I have a family. I have this. I have that.
Or like
If
which
it's a
one?
good-
Like
yeah,
which
there's so many
which
of 'em.
nonprofit do I
Yes.
even support and help,
What do I get behind? And naturally, being in the trades, I'm like, well, maybe there's a trade organization I can get behind. Okay, well, the trade organization is filled with guys that are hurting, broken. And I'm like, okay, well, that used to be me. So let me come alongside them, whether it be with discipleship, leadership training, whatever that it might be. And that's action, and it takes time, and it's not just investing my money into that, but it's investing my time. And you have to end up finding something that you can really come alongside, but you're going to be dealing with people, whether it's nonprofit, for-profit, whatever that it is. And if you have a heart for that, then I think the sky's the limit on that.
So a really cool story that when I was working at Ion, they had these team building things, and it was always so like corporate based and so kind of selfish. And at the time, I was working with not working with, but I was kind of partnering with them and doing a lot of events with them called Feeding Children Everywhere. And they do these packing events, and it was so fun and so cool. And I went to my boss at first, and I said, "Hey, I think we should do this as one of the corporate building, team building events or things." And they're like, "Well, what does that look like?" And I was like, "I just think it'd be really cool." And so they kind of brought it up the ladder and talked about it, and they're like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so that was before. I mean, obviously, that was after I was kind of set free, and I was really loving my job at that point and just really bringing just God into my workplace. And they are still to this day doing that event. Even though I'm gone, they still are now giving back in that way.
Love it.
So I think sometimes when you have this dream or this vision, like, oh, I really love this nonprofit, then you can bring that into your workplace and say, hey, can we do a team event, or can we, raise funds for this group, or however that looks like. If you're not a nonprofit and you're wanting to get involved, that could be a really cool way. Where I didn't personally have enough money to do a packing event on my own, but it was a really cool team building thing. They make it really fun, and that was a really practical way to then start getting them now this really huge, and it keeps growing every year. And it's just really cool how one little thing of me just being like, hey, we should do this as a team building instead of our normal luncheon. Instead of putting our money there, let's actually help people.
Love it.
Like, let's still team build, but in a really practical, helpful way.
Yeah, that's amazing. So we've talked about kind of specifically like for-profits partnering with nonprofits. So for nonprofit leaders who are, you're looking for, it's nonprofit, but you need money.
You need money.
And so a lot of times
Yes.
it's going to come from for-profit. So like, what makes a good nonprofit partner for a for-profit? Like what is a for-profit business looking for? Like when they're, if I'm leading a nonprofit, it's like, what do I need to be so that I make these people actually want to partner with me, want to be a part of what we're trying to do?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think it's if I really believe in what you're doing, right? Like, I want to know that you're passionate, and that passion then spills over to me and I get excited. So
Yeah.
if you're excited about what you're doing, whether it be exploited women, or helping, the homeless, or, doing something, in the library, whatever that looks like, if you're passionate about it, you're naturally going to be able to get people on board with you, because that passion then just naturally spills over. And every nonprofit we've been a part of, if they're not in that place of like excitement, we come alongside of them and help them get excited about it again. Because it's really hard. Nonprofits are hard. Like, it is not it's not for the weary. It is really difficult. And we know that because we're friends with a lot of people that are in that grind, right? And so just kind of even sharing that, like, this is hard and I need support in that way too. Like, just someone coming alongside of me, like, they need to show all of it. But I want to know that they're really passionate about it. Like, and I want to see that, like you're saying, like in that media, in that content, like, show me how excited you are. Have someone follow you for a day, just a day in the life of a nonprofit, a day in the life, what we do, even if you have to blur out faces, like whatever that looks like, show us. So we see your struggle, we see your joys, we see those beautiful moments, because if you don't see, you really can't believe, And so, I had to show my company, Ion, I had to show them videos of these packing events and how much good it does, and the back end of it. Like, this is who it's going to. It's not going out of the country. These are people that are hungry here. These are children that are not getting fed in the United States. And so once I was passionate, obviously, and the company's passionate, so I'm now bringing it to them, and they're like, I want to get behind this. This is cool. You know what I mean? And so I think, if you have a better...
You got to have the storytelling down.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're creating a podcast or you're creating whatever that you are. You got to have a compelling story that naturally good-hearted people are going to want to come alongside. And for me, I like seeing the numbers. That's what it is for me. For her, it's different.
So
for me,
different.
I'm like, how many people did it help?
Right. Seeing the impact.
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. I want to know, like, when I give $10, if $9 of it's going out in the field and $1 going to leadership, or however that goes, for me, I just like knowing the numbers. And I'm not like everybody, but I want to see, what is it doing?
Yeah.
How is it impacting? So to answer your question, like, how do they go out and find these people? When they're championing it and they're putting it out there, they're naturally going to start networking in areas that people are going to come there looking for something as well, whether it be a luncheon or it be a dinner or it be the Rotary Club, or that it be, doesn't really matter. It could be at church, could be wherever, but you have to have a compelling story and get it in front of them.
Yeah.
Or when it's your turn to stand up and you give an elevator speech and you get up and you go, man, my organization helped save 3 kids last night from being exploited. I'm like, oh, tell me more.
Yeah.
That was 5 seconds.
How can I get that to 5? How can I be a part of that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, we did that through the help of this many donors. If you're interested, get with me afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes,
Doesn't have to
please.
be long. It's short. Short
That
and
was
sweet.
8 seconds. And I'm going, I can help save more kids.
Yeah.
From what? Tell me more.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm vested.
So we've talked a lot about how important it is to share your story. And what do you think then is the barrier to orgs not doing that? Like, why do you think there's maybe less orgs that aren't taking
I
advantage?
mean,
Like,
honestly, it's a lot. You're in the grind.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand because that's why we hired a production company. I'm like, we're not going to be able to film this. I'm not going to mentally be able to do that and my job, period. Like, I'm just not going to be able to do both. So if they just come alongside of us and they film it, that's great. If they don't have the money to do that, they can get a volunteer and they literally just come alongside of them and film it. I think it's overwhelming to think of all the steps, and people are like, I don't even know what to do with that video, or partner with a production company or a marketing company or, social media networking people. I don't know what they call those. And you know what I'm saying? Like those companies that do that. That way you yourself aren't taking on that burden. It's another burden. It's another cost. It's another thing you have to fundraise for. So I think it's overwhelming. And I think for some, they're like, oh, well, the payoff's not going to be there. So why would I put that money into it? But to me, it's like, you need to do that and put that money in. It's kind of like with us when we need to get more clients. We need to promote ourselves, right? It's the same with a normal business. You need to promote yourself in order to get more business, in order to get more funding. And so that money spent or that time spent, it needs to become part of their daily workflow, but I think they don't do it because they're just in the grind. It's a lot. It's a lot. And you're just in it every day. I mean, a lot of the nonprofits that we've worked with, they're all in. And so there's no time. And I don't think they have the capacity, right? I don't know a better way to put
I'm
it.
going to just say something that's not going to be popular.
Bring it on. Drum roll, please. Drum roll.
That's what we've been waiting for.
It is not going to be popular. But if you are in charge, like you're the boss, you're the CEO, whatever you want to call yourself, put your title, whatever that you want to be. If you're not the best fit for that position, you need to get out of that position and put somebody else in. And it's not popular. And it might be hard, especially as a man, to lower my pride and be like, hey, I'm not the best for this position. And when I had to do that and step out of that position, that was the best thing that I could have done.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times leaders are getting in their own way, whatever that it might be, whatever they might be going through, whatever they might not have the same heart as when they first started. They might not be as hungry.
Yeah.
You put whatever you want in that blank, but you step out of that position, put somebody in there that's going to come in there and really run with this thing, because then you will find people that want to come alongside and naturally run with that new person that's in charge.
Ooh, that'll preach. Listen, if that's for you, you're listening right now, we're going to put Justin's phone number right here on this podcast episode. Give him a call. Give him a call. You may need to go work for Busted Cribs starting. But it's a healthy thing to do. I agree. It's a healthy for the organization.
Yes.
For yourself, for the long play, for the long term of your emotional, physical, spiritual health of what God's gifted you to do, and the calling and the priorities that sometimes we invert. Right,
Yeah,
we just
yeah.
sit on the throne that we've created, and
Yeah.
we're like, wait, what am I doing here?
Well, I just think about, like, we were reading, this is a random thing to say, but we were reading about Moses, and God asks him to do this really hard thing. And he's like, well, bring Aaron with you. And Moses had Aaron running alongside of him, and it strengthened Moses. So if you don't have that person that's there with you to help, like, be the voice, because Aaron was the one kind of that was the voice and encouraging and really pushing Moses along, because he was scared. Truthfully, Moses was like, I can't do this. What are you talking about? He's like, I have Aaron to go alongside with you. Find your person that's really going to be there. Like what you're saying, if you don't necessarily have to step out, but find that person that's going to help you bring it back to life again and bring that passion and that excitement.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer that people follow people. People buy into people and relationships before they buy into brands. You guys have demonstrated that, I think, and you have displayed that and broadcasted that, which I love. Talk to the leader who's like, you know what? I don't want to be out there. I want to put my face out there. I don't want my name. And and sometimes there's a humility that's like, is it true humility? Is it not? We're not questioning motives. But are you leaving something on the table? Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. We did not want to film.
That is Stephanie Jones. I will put her phone number up here. If you want to talk to somebody who has imposter syndrome, yes, Stephanie Jones.
I was like, we're really going to film this? Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, I'm not a flipper. I'm not a designer. I have like a graphic design background. I did not want to film. I didn't. It's so funny because we were doing it for fun. And then when PureFlix reached out to us to buy our episodes, I was like, oh my goodness, now a lot of people are going to see this. This is awkward. This is embarrassing.
This is real now.
Yeah, because again, we weren't like going out to do that. So it just. I was really awkward behind the camera first.
I will just say
first.
my wife is actually an introvert.
I'm totally
She's
yes.
naturally introvert and I'm naturally an extrovert. So when you put both of us together, she described it best one time. I have 5 coins that I can give out throughout the day, whether it be kids, you, the business, whatever that it is. I have 5 coins. I start my day
I like where
with,
this is going.
and I start my day with no coins as an extrovert. And what do I try to do?
I'm collecting coins.
I'm
I gotta
collecting
collect-
coins all
Let's go.
day.
like Mario.
Yeah.
So I'm going this way. She's coming that way. And naturally, what's going to end up happening is people are going to want to talk to her.
Yeah,
People are going
the
to want to meet
kids
with
took
her.
all your coins already, so you're done.
Oh yeah.
You're
Yep.
done.
And there's no real way other than to encourage her, just keep loving on her, to really give her more coins. Hey, honey, I got 5 or 6 coins. Let me try to give you one more, get you through whatever it is that you might be
No,
going
you get
through.
me in front of Jesus and we're good.
There we
Give
go.
me that space. I'm good.
Yes,
Not my coins, but Jesus in
He's
me.
really-
Those
I
are
mean,
bills. Those are dollar bills.
Yeah,
That's how Jesus
Yeah.
is doing it.
That's it.
It's a blank check.
Yeah.
So she naturally doesn't really want the exposure. She naturally doesn't want a platform. She naturally doesn't want any of that kind of stuff. So she will just kind of sit in the sidelines. She does it at church too. Like she's a fantastic singer. She's fantastic at everything, mother, wife,
Aw.
but she can stand in the back of the auditorium and sing. She's got a beautiful voice. And when people hear it, they're like, why aren't you up there on the stage? And she's like, nope.
Out of coins.
Done.
That's just where God
done.
has me. Yeah, if He told me to
She'll
go, I
stand in the back.
would. But yeah,
She would be the one that would be in the back. She's the one that's in the rear with the gear. Let's get this going. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that's just pony out front, just rocking and rolling, collecting coins all day long. But
Yeah.
she does that really, really well. And a lot of people, when they do meet us and they do talk with us, they're like, oh my gosh, like I need to film this. Like you guys are the same in person
yeah.
as you
they think
are
we're like doing something different. Or
as you are
something.
on camera. Like this is you guys are real, you know, and it's an authentic, but it's also very encouraging to us to know whether we're on camera, off camera, filming a podcast, whatever that we might be doing, it's going to come off authentic because
Yeah.
that's just who we
You
are.
get what you get. I mean, some stuff gets cut out. So really crazy.
Yeah, you know
stuff
what?
gets cut
I
out,
want to.
but
We're gonna wrap soon here, but
Well-
I want to talk about bloopers soon and just about stuff that did not make,
there's lots of
Yeah.
those.
did not air.
And then
Well-
PureFlix makes us cut it down even more because they've come across stuff. They're like, this is not acceptable.
Yeah, well, maybe along those lines. I got one last question for you. You guys, you've made a living out of renovating houses. Most marriages don't make it past one house
Oh,
renovation.
yeah.
How do you guys do? How do you guys? What's the secret there? Because you guys obviously have found the secret. You know.
Jesus. No.
Okay, there. Yeah, maybe that's it. But you know,
the
you get. I
default
mean,
answer.
No, the minute I think, and you would agree, like the minute we started understanding that we are different and that he offers something that I can't offer and I offer something he can't offer, it's a beautiful partnership at that
Yeah.
point. But when we were trying to butt heads at the beginning, it was really hard because I was like, why can't you just see it the way I see it? Why? And I'm like, I just had to really understand, like, he is gifted in a beautiful way that I'm not gifted. And I'm gifted in a way that he is, like, he cannot see a house until it's done. Like, I'll be like, oh, it'll be so cool. And he's like, I don't understand what you're saying, but cool, we'll do it. And so
this mold is getting in
Yeah.
the way of me.
yeah, but he has this really cool business mind where he can see the big picture of all the numbers and, just being able to see a project through all the steps. But me, I just can see it visually. So it's just a really cool, once we finally did that, and we still have our challenges on our job sites.
lot of
For
fun.
sure.
To answer your question,
You
like
have to
when
put the
Mary,
hammer down sometimes. You're
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna walk.
I don't
away
know if
from
you guys saw that, but he actually threw
All the time.
a sledgehammer at me one time. He's like, the power of Thor. And he threw it. And that wasn't staged, you guys. Like, this is the kind of stuff
without that
that
kind of budget. It's all real.
happens if the camera's on or the camera's off. Like, this is just who we are, and that's how he is. And he's like, look, catch, because we think it's funny, and we just live
I,
our lives.
I thought it was special effects the entire time. Like, no, they must have added that on later.
I'm
No.
like, you did not just throw a sledgehammer at me. Like,
married couples going through renovations, first off, majority, and I'll just speak broadly on this, don't go through too many renovations in their life.
yeah.
Just in general, okay? Now you take the aspect of being married, potentially having kids, pets, anything and everything that's in a home, okay, that they love, cherish, adore. Now you're having all of these strange men strange women come through their home
Yeah.
around their kids,
Disruptive.
around their pets,
Yeah.
around all these different things. And if it's not stressful enough trying to get kids out the door, get kids to eat their breakfast, and I've seen this, so I'm speaking from experience. Now I'm going, hey, Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Smith, hey, how much longer till you're out of here? Because I gotta start working on this. It creates another level of stress.
Yeah.
And as a married couple, you don't get away from it. You go to the office, you come home, and your house is destroyed. There's a level of stress that goes into that
Yeah.
you're not prepared for. You don't learn about it in school. You don't learn about it in trade school, college. You don't learn about anything. You don't learn about it in marriage counseling. Right before you get married, they don't tell you, do not renovate your house.
Just don't go
The
ahead.
leading
We tell
cause of
people that.
divorce.
Just buy a new one.
The only thing that you can do is you can sit down and you can look at your partner and go, listen, we are going to get through this. This will be for a very short period, but we are going to absolutely love this kitchen. We're absolutely going to love this bathroom. It will get stressful. And I'm the one that sits there and I go after doing thousands of these and I go, listen, guys, you guys are not going to like me at the third week.
And you're not going to like each other.
You are going to think that I was sent from down under.
that
We're not talking
Australia?
Australia.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
Australia.
Is that why
And-
they pay up front? Just to make sure that
That's why we get deposits.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why we get deposits. And if you can come alongside your wife, your husband, and have that authentic conversation and go, we will get through this. This will just be like a phase and then we'll be out of there. The other thing that you really need to do is hire a good contractor, a contractor that understands people, not just profits, not just, hey, I got to get these subs in there, but a good contractor that understands, that can walk alongside you. And the other thing is too, is a lot of homeowners, and I made this mistake up front, they want to know what's happening. Meanwhile, it's all playing out in my head, but I didn't put a lot of stuff down on paper.
communication.
Put a schedule.
Yeah.
Put a schedule out there. Hey, here's when we're going to be over for the next week or two. Here's when you're not going to have power. Here's when you're not going to have plumbing. That way, Mrs. Jones isn't planning on making spaghetti that night and she doesn't have any water. There's things that can be done ahead of time
Great.
that just aren't done ahead of time. And then again, it just creates an added stress, an added stress, an added stress.
Yeah, we don't have to really deal with that in our business side for the most part. Other than like we become a marriage counselor to some of our clients because again,
Oh,
we're
my
trying to hold them
goodness.
together.
Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast.
That's a free benefit, by the way. If you want to sign up, we'll put the link here. It's
Not getting that with most.
yeah,
Because isn't it? It's not easy working with your spouse, but I think it's really beautiful and it's a gift from God. Truly, we went through a lot of counseling and therapy. We're not ashamed of it because we did come into a marriage and we're two different people and we needed to really figure out how to work together in that. And once we did, we then were able to play to each other's strengths and weaknesses a lot better.
Well,
And so-
it's obvious in the episodes. I highly encourage you to watch and watch all of them on replay. And then what's next? What's next for Busted Cribs? What's in the works? What episode is in the making?
I don't know.
Anything you can leak? Anything you can leak right now?
Yeah, well, we're in season 3 right now, finishing up season 3. But we don't know what's going to happen with PureFlix. They just got bought out. And so they haven't signed us on for 2 and 3 like they were supposed to because they got bought out. So they're kind of on a freeze and we're just kind of waiting to see what the Lord does. We're going to maybe reach out to a couple more networks.
Sweet.
But yeah, just as long as they keep our show. That's
For
been really
sure.
big for
Yeah.
us because we got approached by a major network probably about, 2 years ago, a year ago. And they were like, hey, we'd like to film a pilot with you. And we kind of, asked, well, can we still do this? Can we, because that's us. And they're like, oh, no. And your filming schedule is going to be, you have to do 8 houses in, X amount of weeks. And I'm like, oh, that's not us. We're good. Because that's not us. And we don't want to portray something we're not. So I don't know what's next. I don't know what's coming. And it's a really weird place to be in, but our business is still thriving. We're just maybe not going to film it for this season. I don't know. There's one house that I really want to film.
I think we're gonna. I
But
think we're gonna
that's
do.
probably about it.
I think we're gonna do more social, like those little 1-minute clips. They're shorts and stuff like that. I think we're gonna start doing more of that, and getting back to like the grassroots of like people seeing
Sure.
like what we do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And then we'll throw in some of the interactions that me and her do. But I think we're going to stick with more short form content than long episodes. I kind of see
Yeah, I
us
don't know.
going that route and just keep encouraging people.
Yeah. Our
Yeah.
production crew just started filming all the time, like on the off time, and we didn't even know that they're filming half the time. But they'll kind of like subtly keep the camera on, and that's where they capture all these really funny moments because
man,
we're just
yeah.
being ourselves,
I love
like
it.
in
Yeah.
between these.
Bloopers, yes.
Yeah. There's a bunch.
Yeah, there's so many bloopers when we're going through and doing that, and it's the funniest one that people still come up to me this day and they're like, "Hey, did you fart?" And I'm like, what? No, dude, I
Are we allowed
didn't
to say
fart.
fart
Like
on
we're
this
at
podcast? Sorry.
church. Like, what are you talking
Did you
about?
fluff?
Did you fart? And it's like, and then they're like, and then they just start laughing, and I'm like, what in the world? And then they're like, don't you remember? Like you farted like on the camera, and like the whole world saw it. Yeah.
He thinks it's so funny to get our whole crew in a small bathroom and then just let one go. And it's so awful for all of us, but they can't do anything about it, so they're stuck
No,
because we have to keep rolling.
Clearly, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
We're like, that's all there.
I don't care. I don't care who you are.
That's some team building right there.
But
Yeah.
when the cameraman is like wedged
And
up
he's
in the
like-
tub of this little small 5x8
He
bathroom,
can't
it's a little
get
bit
out.
bigger than this table.
He can't get out.
And I wait for
He
that
thinks
perfect
it's awesome.
opportunity, and I'm just like, and then he's like, and he can't say nothing because he's got to stay quiet.
Mhm.
And then I'm like, all right, we got to go now. And I shut that door right behind me. He's
So mean.
like, man, I just absolutely love you. One time I had to go pee. Well, you're
Oh.
mic'd. So you're mic'd up, and a lot of people don't know this, but you're mic'd up the entire
course.
time. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to turn the mic off.
And we're in the
you know?
middle of a scene, me talking about the plans.
Like, man, I
mind
really
you.
got to pee. I
Hey.
peed for at least 3.5 minutes. And these are all just bodily functions. I guess I find
Yeah,
that
I'm like,
just
Justin.
absolutely hilarious.
This is
But
the episode teaser here, by the way.
Yeah, right here, right here.
yeah. So, and then just interactions
Oh.
between me and her. So a lot of the bloopers too, like Stephanie can see like the house, like it's already done. But if I have just like a slab there,
Oh,
Stephanie's
yeah.
like,
I'm like, where are
What?
the walls at?
Like,
I can't
what is
see
this?
what it is.
so the crew knows that about her. So they messed with her. They're like, hey, I'm going to shoot you real quick. Tell us where
Can you do a
everything's at.
walkthrough?
And it's just flat. Like it's a slab like
It's
this.
just an open block house,
And she's
no
like,
walls. I think the kitchen's here.
Here and here. Like she has no idea. And then she's looking over at me like, save me. And I'm
Help
just like,
me.
It's all you.
So
They
do
think
you
it's
do you lock
theirs.
those in at that point? It's like, well, she said it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got the kitchen and the bathroom, right? Like, they're one. Yeah.
Yeah.
there's
That's
I'm
really
sure there's
functional, though.
more funny moments. Obviously the crowd pleaser, just kind of opening up a door as she's trying to walk through a small hallway, and the little
Totally.
things like that like the married couples can get away with. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to keep
It's
it
just us
fun.
being us.
I love it.
Truly. That's what it is.
yeah,
And you
holding
throwing
character,
sledgehammers.
holding character.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, what character am I holding? I'm barely being myself right now.
Stephanie's like, if she hears a plane going over, she's like,
Yeah. Squirrel. There's no ignoring, right? There's
I
is
have
that a fire
ADHD
truck? Is that a fire
diagnosed.
truck? There's a fire truck 5 blocks
Yeah.
over. And the camera guy's like, if I tell you to stop,
Then you stop.
then you stop.
I was like, I
If
just-
not, we
You
keep
keep going.
rolling because you got to reshoot the whole scene over again, and it's
And we
not
don't like
staged.
stage it. So
I
we're
don't
like,
have
what
a
were we talking
script.
about?
So then it's like, oh man, what were we talking about? Get back in like the standing positions and stuff. So
love
of
it.
course, after like a long day of filming, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Bring me a professional.
I'm like,
Bring me a
we need to hire someone else then because I'm not a professional.
That's very true.
Well,
That is awesome.
bustedcribs.com. Anywhere else they can find you guys, and anything else you want to promo or plug
Yeah,
before we go?
season 1 and 2 are on YouTube on our YouTube channel, Busted Cribs channel, and then Pureflix has season 1 still. Waiting to see if they do
Yeah,
season 2 and 3. I don't really
hopefully
know.
2 and 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they're looking, someone's got either the funds or the need for some help to renovate. They've got the property they want to get rid of or get your eyes on.
Yeah,
How do they reach you?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just give us a call. Go online. My phone number is 727-644-0116.
Oh, you're giving out that phone number.
Zero.
Okay.
It's
All
on the
right.
internet. You can give us a call if you get an unwanted house or something got given to you, through probate or whatever that it might be, and it's like the houses for some reason turn into burdens
Yeah.
for people, whether they want to move away, they're going through divorce, there's just too much renovation, it turns into a burden. And if you're starting to feel like that burden in the house, then just give us a call. We'd
we
love
want to lift the burden.
We would love to figure out a way to help you out. And a lot of times we don't buy every single house, because some of the times it's like, well, let's just do this, get it on the market, it will sell for more. Or maybe it might be in an area where I'm like, I know an expert in that area. So utilizing us as a resource too, not just to be like, oh, they'll buy it,
Totally.
So utilizing us for a resource, feel free to just give me a call, and if we can help move that burden along.
And on bustedcribs.com too, we have like a form someone can fill out, and we also give a finder's fee. So if people send us a good referral for a house that we buy, we give them a referral fee.
I'm going to send you Colin's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should buy it.
As long as you're planning to upgrade, that's
Are you renovating right now?
No, we are not. No.
Do you need a marriage
I was
counselor?
gonna say we don't need it. We're good where we are. We're fine.
That's why
we want to keep it that way.
He's like, how do I get through this? That was a very selfish question, Colin.
Yeah, we're gonna talk off air. The tears will flow then. So.
He's going to title this episode "Dear," and his wife just
Honey, listen to this one.
Exclusive one just for you.
Yes.
Well, thanks for having us, guys. This was fun.
Yeah, it was
Thank
awesome.
you so much for coming on. Thank you also for listening to the Nonprofit Renaissance. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
Thanks again for listening to the Nonprofit Renaissance. We hope it ignites a renaissance in you and helps you go further and grow faster. Be sure to share, rate, and subscribe. And if you'd like to recommend or be a guest on our show, send us an email at podcast@versecreative.com.